Welcome everyone, this is Brookside Chats. I'm your host Brooklyn.
I'm your co-host Pojo. Today our topic is Omaha sports. Let me pass it over to you, Brooke, as our resident sports expert.
So in particular, what we're trying to talk about is, should Omaha have a professional major league team? As in, like, say something like the Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association.
So like NBA, WNBA, NFL, I'm drawing a blank on that.
NHL, like,
yes, that's what I meant.
The major league,
yeah,
like players in terms of like franchises and all that. So, and personally, I believe Omaha should have one because it's a great opportunity for business. It's a great way to expand and, build ourselves as a franchise. And then it will be a great way to just create jobs, create business around the area, and build ourselves and have a bit of a national pride with our city.
All right. So I'm of an opposite mind here. I do agree that, if we had a team, I could possibly see that some of these local businesses and the city itself, or whoever owns the team, could see some financial revenue from it, from like shirt sales to like selling out the stadium. Because the last time we had NBA, not NBA,
yeah, it wasn't
baseball.
NBA.
Was it NBA?
Are you talking about
the Major League Baseball, MLB?
Oh, are you talking about the first MLB game we had at TD Ameritrade? Yeah,
that just sold out, even though it wasn't either no team from Omaha. Mm-hmm. I think sure, you could say that, but for the rest, I don't feel like we really are set up, if that makes sense. And what I'm drawing from is, at least we have the infrastructure, yes, but for the team infrastructure, if you know what I mean, like the coaches and whatnot, my confidence in Nebraska to actually handle that isn't all there, because the past 3-4 head coaches for the Huskers, they were let go before their contract ran up. Just recently, or only recently I should say, Bo Pelini's contract ran up. That's a lot of money that we have been paying him to pretty much get him out of the contract. So with that said, I feel like the ability to handle that isn't quite there.
So I can understand the incompetence of with athletic directors and owners. A good example in terms of the NFL is whoever owns the Washington football team, because they're just plagued with bad decisions. Dan Snyder, I think that's what his name is.
Wait, so Dan Schneider, the guy who made Justice League.
No, that's.
I was gonna say that's a wide amount of skills he's got there.
Silly me. But the Washington football team, they have a bunch of leadership issues, and it's just a really poorly ran organization, and as well as that, they need to fire their owner or they need to get rid of their owner because he's just really bad at making decisions. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do anything to benefit for that particular organization, and I think the drafting for that particular franchise is not as beneficial as it could be.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it was Dan Snyder, so that's the name.
What a great name. But I feel like and this is just an outsider's view in. I feel like in that case, I think the owner is not, like, he's not going to put money into it, or he's not intentionally making these decisions to benefit the team.
Yeah.
Because I think his top priority is the green dollar, or green, I guess. So I feel like that's kind of where their fault is, and I feel like that could happen here, where we have an absolutely trash team, and if that's the case, it's really hard to have pride in, like, you know, the team that's from your town, if they are like doomed to fail because, you know, money.
So I do think there is a lot of support that needs to be like given like beforehand, but I do think as well as that, like the good news with all these like major league franchises is that, you know, their ability to pick up players and their ability to kind of like draft is a lot more beneficial, and it doesn't feel like they're in kind of like a cursed position rather than like in college where, like, you know, you kind of have to like build, like, to get like decent recruits, you need to have that reputation.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we've had to like, that's why, you know, everyone was hyped about Frost, is because they figured a lot of like, you know, a lot of the Florida people can like come generate like.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is Frost advisory. It takes a while to cool down. I'll say that it takes a while to cool down, but when it gets cold, it gets cold.
What's our record for the last 3 years?
Hey, whoa. Hey, I said it takes a while to cool down.
Same amount of time that we gave Mike Riley to cool down, quote unquote.
Well, I mean, he's Mike Riley, not Scott Frost.
All right.
Anyways, but yeah, that would be that would be a big concern for me. Is that the team infrastructure just wouldn't be there. I mean, along with that, how do we know that we can have these fans out or get these tickets sold to fill out the stadium? I mean, yes, you can look at colleges, but I kind of feel like that's comparing an apple to an orange.
I think it's just having that unified like franchise to be like proud into that city, because like I think why the Huskers were so popular is because you had like a really decent record, and, you know, we were able to get that national championship status, and same with like, you know, UNO hockey, and, you know, just being in the Frozen Four, it's put like Nebraska and Omaha on the map. Same with like, you know, Creighton basketball recently, because they're in the Big East, and you're in like competition with Villanova, Xavier, Marquette, all these major like teams and colleges. They're able to kind of like and still surpass and get above like all these teams that puts you on the map, and, you know, gets you closer and closer to like potential, and like everyone wants that ambition. So I think just having, you know, I know like I hate to use the like feelings, but at the same time, like having like a national pride, or like having like, you know, a local like Omaha pride could also like generate and like get names to like seats and get people to come out and, you know, be proud of their city, and, you know, maybe get some other like out like state fans to like come generate out. So
yeah, and I definitely could see that.
Because if you look at like, for instance, like I know it's hard to compare, you know, like college to like professional, but it's
professional slightly better.
Yeah, everything has like, you know, its comparison. Plus, I mean, especially now, since like with college football, for instance, it's going to be Clemson and Bama for like the next 5-10 or so years, or whenever like who is it? Nick Saban retires and
Yeah.
Dabo Sweeney like takes his job probably in the future. Spoiler alert.
Whoa, hey, hold up! I didn't read that part of the book.
That's my
But-
prediction though.
So, and this is just for me to point out how different just the skill level is between college and pro is.
Mhm.
You remember Sue?
Correct.
For football?
Yeah.
He was the bee's knees, I believe the kid said.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he got into the pros, he was mediocre.
Well, he also got like, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of injuries, and I think there was a lot of like behavioral problems with him. Like he was like at ends with certain people. I remember particularly like when he was like with the Lions, and like he just totally like just casually stomped over a Green Bay Packer like
I remember
player.
hearing about that.
And it's just like, yo, like that was completely
That's
unnecessary.
Nebraska's foot.
Oh boy.
But anyways, back to the topic.
Mhm.
My main issue though would be just initially starting this team.
And usually with like a lot of major franchises, they have like a way to kind of like, well, at least like for instance, let me talk about NHL. So the way they started the Golden Knights, which is the most recent team, they took two of the best players from each franchise and they put it all on a team. And what was it, the first year they actually made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and
Yeah.
they have like not only an awesome chance, but like they have an opportunity for their coach to like actually succeed. And I think if like they go that exact same route, like if Omaha were to have a professional team and like they just took like two of the best players from all the local franchises, I think, or like all the franchises, I think you could see like Omaha immediately the first year doing really, really well, or just, you know, possibly getting in the finals again, because I think it's a good done tried method to try and like, you know, start a franchise.
Well, yeah, but like, and maybe this is because I don't really know how hockey drafting works.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you're literally taking the two best players from each team, I mean, you're almost guaranteed to go to the championship
Yeah.
because you have the talent. I mean, again, you could have a bad coach, which could mess that up. But again, I don't think it's going to be that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know if that's something that they would do again for a new team. But if it is, you would have a point. But if not, then it would be a little more difficult to actually get those people out there to be, hey, score some goals. Good coach, hockey.
I do think that, like, you know, at first there's going to be a spark of curiosity. People are going to be initially interested regardless, because, you know, it's
new.
local team and it's new, and, you know, it's a major league franchise that we can compete, like, you know, the Edmonton Oilers, or, you know, the Tampa Bay Lightning, or like these actual big name like teams from like all over like the US. And I just looking at, like, you know, I hate to keep coming and comparing like college to like pro, but if you look at like the facts and statistics, I mean, Lincoln, for instance, UNL, was able to generate like 89,000 approximately in like 2019,
And that's the year average for
Yeah.
football?
correct.
Okay.
And that was like top 10 within like all college sports. With like hockey, for instance, in college hockey, UNO, our college, was actually ranked around, usually it's always in the top 10, but I think in around that same year it was like number 9 in the nation, and I think it's been as high as like number 4. But still, the number 1 team in like hockey is actually like North Dakota, and it's 15,000, and it's in Fargo, North Dakota, or around that area. And
Oh yes, North Dakota, more like Canada,
So-
Diet Canada.
yeah, So it is kind of like crazy to think about, like, you know, the number one college team for like hockey, but it makes sense because they don't have any other major league teams.
And I feel like a big thing that pushes these ticket sales, I guess, for these college teams is the fact that they have behind them at least a couple thousand students. Well, at least like, I would say 10,000, which is fair. 10,000 students that are willing to travel for like a free ticket, or if it's in town, to just go and see the game and support their team because, I mean, it's their school.
And you could see that like also with like professional teams too. There's a lot of like loyal Packers fans. There's a lot of super fans for like, say like the Vikings or, you know, the Bears or like all that. Like it's a very like it's not just a simple market for like the college itself, but it can just be like a simple pride for like, you know, the actual like the team of like the city. So that's why I want to kind of like emphasize with like, you know, having Omaha be a team, because we are like in the top 100 for like a metro population. We have about 1.1 million right now, and if you add like Lincoln on top of that, that's 1.3 million. And on top of that, like,
let's just annex Lincoln.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's just like the local area around, like it's really deprived. So why not just, you know, put a franchise in? I think you'll have a more loyal fan base because there's not much to really do in term outside like sports really for Nebraska. And granted, like, yeah, we have the zoo, we have Berkshire Hathaway, we have
Lawrence
like,
Gardens.
Yeah. Like
the Missouri River.
Yeah.
A cornfield.
But like
some cows.
Exactly. Like we should like we should try to like, you know, get something major league, and it's something that has a little bit more name value, because I always hear the comparison of, oh, we have a AAA team. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but a AAA team with like baseball is basically a farm team for like another like MLB team.
You're being essentially Class B.
Yeah,
instead of a Class A.
Your school. You're just seconds. Like that's all you are. Like, and don't get me wrong, I like the Storm Chasers, but I think like for another comparison, I don't think like the Huskers would be as popular if they were just like Division II. Oh, and it's like you want to have that pride of being number one, and you want to like, you know, advance more and more and more up the ladder and be like
so essentially sitting at the big boy table,
like with
or
our
big person table.
With our college, for instance, like we went more Division I because we want to be, you know, playing with the big leagues and like playing with the big boys. So I want to believe that we should, you know, want to be competing with these major cities and stuff like that if we want to like, you know, have some like namesake and try and, you know, build up as a franchise. So
well, and so if I'm not correct, there was a professional team that was co-owned by Omaha and Kansas City, the Kings, right?
Yes, it was for 3 years, and
but essentially they moved to Cincinnati, I believe.
So they started in Rochester, went to Cincinnati, went to like Omaha and Kansas City, and it was like so weird with the home games.
Flings.
Yeah. Then they went to Kansas City, and then went to Sacramento, and that's where they are today. And they don't have like, I think they're usually mediocre in terms of ticket sales. Plus, my argument with like having like, you know, a major league team in like say like LA or, you know, New York or Chicago is that it's just an oversaturated market, and you're not going to be getting enough, like, you're going to be just kind of convoluting your entire, like, you know, market, because there's just so little of, like, or there's just so many options, because, like, they, like, if your team stinks in, like, say, like, you know, LA, like, they can just go to, like, USC, or they can just go to, like, the other baseball team, or the other, like, football team, because
so. And here's my question: if we were to form a professional team, what would stop the same situation with the Kings happening?
I think just having better incentives, building a loyal fan base, and trying to, like, you know, encourage, like, more and more, like, you know, ways to, like, be, like, competitive. And I think as well as that, just, like, having, like, you know, a really refurbished, or, like, you know, a decent stadium for them to, like, participate in. I believe, like, TD Ameritrade honestly looks like a really decent MLB stadium, that, and it can be expanded to up to, like, 35,000, which comparing that to, say, like, the Kansas City Royals stadium, that capacity for that stadium is at 37,000. So we're just 2,000 off from, like, being an actual professional, like, Major League Baseball stadium. So why not just have it?
I feel like what we did there was like, oh, we did one more better than you by one seat.
There we go.
But
so
another concern is, how would you finance this? Because obviously, gathering or scouting talent, providing all the necessary equipment, workout, etc. for said scouted talent, and then paying the coaches, all advertising deals, all that. Do you think there's someone in Omaha who would actually be willing to take that up?
It's really hard to tell, because you never know. I mean, there's a couple different billionaires in, like, Omaha, actually. And
we don't name drop here, though.
Please give us more money.
Sponsor us.
Please. But, like, I would assume that, like, you know, and let's see, you have Berkshire Hathaway, its own, like, run by, like, you know, Warren Buffett, and you know, you have your governor Pete Ricketts, who actually, with his entire family, actually owns, like, the Chicago Cubs. I do think there could be, like, a market, and I don't know, like, if the Ricketts would want to just, like, you know, sponsor a team, or, you know, Buffett would, but I would assume, like, I know, maybe it could be a business risk, but at the same time, you know, owning the Cubs is a business risk, and as well as, like, you know, just any other, like, major league, like, team.
Well, I feel like if you have a well-established team like the Cubs, the Yankees, all that, you're set, because they're gonna have those diehard fans. Even if you're absolutely trash one year, they're gonna still be like, no, next year we're gonna be better. It's exactly what Nebraska fans have for the Huskers, where we were always saying, oh, this is the year.
Dallas Cowboys as well. Yeah, just
we're not gonna throw
name drop.
we're not name dropping here, but yeah.
So I think if you get
it's a huge risk initially to start this up, and personally, I just don't see people willing to take that risk.
I mean, there's gonna be more and more expansion throughout the year with, like, these major like league franchises. So at some point, Omaha is gonna be on the list, and I've seen a lot of, like, professional, like, sports media kind of, like, name drop Omaha within that because of the College World Series. So could there actually be a potential, like, owner for us? I don't know. Like, it's always, every business is going to be a risk, but I would say kind of like don't undermine the cities that don't have a professional team, because for instance, like you look at Green Bay, Wisconsin's only 150,000 people. And
only 155 people.
Winnipeg's only 700,000.
Yeah.
Omaha is 900,000, but on top of that, with the rising like metro area, you could also add like it's up to like 1 million, and then on top of that, you add like the population with like Lincoln, and that's 300,000, and you have 1.3 million, and that's exactly the population of like Buffalo, New York, and they have
KC.
So
or Kansas City.
But I think like if we were to get like jump on the bandwagon to get like an NHL team first, we could attract people from Kansas City to Omaha, kind of the same way as like you have people from Omaha go to like the Chiefs or the Royals, or support those different franchises. And I think it would just be beneficial just to kind of like have that team, so then you can kind of like have those different markets come in. And like with like all the different college teams, you have a high population in attendance for football, basketball, and hockey, with football being Nebraska. You have Creighton being good at like basketball and being top 10 in the nation.
I
And
thought they were also good at baseball as well.
I believe they actually entered the College World Series, the series before the COVID shutdown. So I'm not sure if they're.
So what was it, 19?
Yeah, 19.
Okay.
So, and then they're just this shy away with like winning the tournament with like before March Madness was shut down. But they were actually in the tournament like this year. They only lost to Gonzaga, which was eventually in the finals anyway. So I believe that just having like a major league team would just be beneficial for all. A lot of people jump the bandwagon with it, and since it's a local team that is for Omaha, like it will be great to like actually be a part of that, and it will have a lot of like name value. So say if we do have like the Cubs come into town and face off against Omaha's team, we could have Cubs fans, we could have local Cubs fans, but we also have like Omaha fans as well.
So with that said, which league, assuming that Omaha were to get a professional team, what league should they aim for first?
I believe the NHL would be a good league, because looking at like the different markets, the closest NHL team from Omaha would actually be in Minnesota. Yeah, in Minneapolis, and that's about a 5.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Then you got St. Louis Blues, which is about 6 hour drive, and then you got Chicago, which is about a 7.5 hour drive, and then you got like the Denver like Avalanche, which is about like an 8 hour drive. And like I don't know, it seems like they're missing a big huge market by just ignoring Omaha and Kansas City. So I think we should jump on the bandwagon and try to get an NHL team, so we can attract people from like Lincoln, people from like Kansas City, and people from Des Moines, because that's about like 2 million right there. And it will be a great opportunity for us to like gain revenue, and I'm guaranteeing you'll have a market. My second team will probably be the MLB, just because we have the stadium already with TD Ameritrade. Okay. And we, even though we do have the College World Series, it's only 10 days for like the College World Series, and we can like schedule a bunch of away games during that like College World Series time. And the MLB season only lasts from like April to like October, so we can keep generating revenue like during those like couple of days.
Make it almost year round.
Yeah, and like it doesn't really even like kind of confer with like what was it, Creighton's like college like team, so with baseball, so it will be from like February to like June with their whole time. So, and then my last one be the NBA, and that's because we co-owned Kansas City and or we co-owned the nowadays Sacramento Kings, but it's an interesting market, and you can probably like own that because A, the history behind it, and then B, there's not really a nearby NBA team anyway.
Yeah.
Because I can only think Chicago, Minneapolis, and Denver, but
doesn't
Oklahoma City has one, but that's even further away than like those three mentioned. So
yeah.
So Pajensky, I know you're not really big in the whole professional team naming business, but
I love this.
Well, what do you think will be Omaha's team name?
Depends for what.
So, say if we get a hockey team, what should we call ourselves?
Canned corn.
The canned corn?
The canned corns. Corn canners.
Interesting. Why?
I don't know.
Oh,
Because
boy.
we're tough like a can of corn.
Art
You
right
can't
there.
tell me that's not that you. I won't say it's good because I know it's not, but that's not the worst you've ever heard.
I mean, we are called the Corn Huskers and the Bug Eaters at one
They
point.
were known as the Bug Eaters.
Fair enough. I guess for me, like for hockey, since you hear like there's the Carolina Hurricanes, you have the Calgary Flames, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Omaha Twisters could kind of fit in that whole like storm element type of dealio.
Is it just me or is it? I feel like the Lightning team is kind of the odd man out because the other three are like natural disasters.
The Flames. Well, there's also like
Wildfire.
I don't think so. Not up there, because that's in Calgary. So
Canada can burn.
is that your ambitions?
No, but it's a country, and any country can burn.
I guess. But yeah, I could see it like also falling through like those different like I could see it fitting in pretty easily. The other one I could say is the Omaha Steamrollers.
Oh my goodness.
Why
is that?
Well, everyone complains in Omaha about the construction, and apparently Omaha is known for like having the U.S.'s worst drivers, and you need a steamroller to kind of like iron out like the roads. So I figured why not just embrace it and just call ourselves the Steamrollers. Plus, it's not the worst.
Yeah, this is how we get Bob the Builder.
That's our mascot right there. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, if Purdue's called the Boilers, I feel like the Steamrollers aren't as bad. So
who owns a team is like, let's name you guys the Boilers.
yeah.
Okay, but moving on to sports. What about NBA?
NBA.
I got the perfect one for this one too.
How about you share first? Because I need a couple seconds.
The U.S. Trotters.
Why?
Because it's like Globetrotters except better.
Or are you just gonna scream USA, USA?
Yeah, no, like there's literally no one. I shouldn't say that. It is very discouraging to root against it.
So, like, if anyone like hates the NFL, NBA, they can just be like, "Oh, I guess you just
You
hate
hate
America."
America.
Okay, that's some reverse psychology right there.
Yeah,
So.
it's all about the mental game. You already won the game if they are afraid to, win.
You clearly hate your country if you hate the U.S. Globetrotters. Okay. All right. Now I can see what you can think of. I don't know. The Locomotives doesn't sound like the worst name because, let's see, you have the Salt Lake City Jazz. Yeah. I
Jazz.
yes, Jazz.
Okay.
Salt Lake. The least jazzy place.
I was gonna say they're not even known for jazz. That's like
I think they were originally from New Orleans, and then they just moved, and they just kept the name.
that makes sense then. If they're from New Orleans,
You got the Phoenix Suns. There's only one Sun. Just call yourself the Phoenix Sun.
unless you're on Tatooine.
All right. You got the Orlando Magic, which is for Magic Johnson, but Magic Johnson never played for Orlando, so
It's in his name.
got the Clippers, which I don't know how to explain that. I guess you're just nail clippers.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
There's some weird ass mascots, but for me, I would stick with like Locomotives because Hype Train and stuff like that. So.
Oh my goodness. Did those words just leave your mouth? Hype train?
Yes.
What are you? A college student?
I mean, I graduated from college recently, so
Congrats.
yeah.
But for the last one, which one have we done? NHL? We already
I did that earlier, so
Yeah.
then we got MLB.
Baseball. Okay. For baseball, what do you got?
The Twisters.
Ooh,
Or we could just do something like
the home runners. Home chuckers.
the Bats. I don't know.
Oh, God.
The Cranes.
The cranes, yeah, because that's a natural bird here.
They exist unless
I've never seen one.
Aren't birds just a government conspiracy?
Yeah, they're just drones.
Clearly, yeah.
I've never seen a baby bird. Well, I think that just about wraps up this topic.
Correct.
Thank you for joining us, dear listeners.
This is Brookside Chats. This is Brooklyn.
This is Pojo.
And we're signing out.